Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's lecture we'll start talking about the tissues of the body, and we will begin with the epithelia. So let's begin. Epithelium, it's a continuous thin layer of flat cells or of cells according to the type of the epithelium. It's a protective layer of cells. It lines the organs and blood vessels from the inside and outside. The inside is called the endothelium, and the outside is called according to the site where it is, like peritoneum, for example, in abdominal organs, or pleura in the if it covers the lungs. So according to the site, it's named. And there are three principal shapes of epithelial cells: squamous or fish-like scales or flat cells, and columnar cells and cuboidal cells. In some tissues, and according to the section taken, especially in columnar epithelium, nuclei may appear at different levels, but all the cells reach the basement membrane. So it's not multi-layered. So that's why it's called pseudo-stratified epithelium, as we will see later. All glands are made up of epithelial cells because the function of epithelial cells include secretion and absorption, protection of organs, transport of molecules across the cells, and sensing also, like the olfactory epithelium, for example. Epithelial layers contain no blood vessels, so they depend on their nutrition on diffusion from the underlying connective tissue through the basement membrane they rest on. And that's why the cell junctions are abundant among the epithelial cells. To classify epithelium, it's according to the shape of the cells and according to the layers also. According to the shape, there is squamous epithelium, like you can see here, cuboidal epithelium, and columnar epithelium. The squamous epithelium is wider than their height, and they are the lining of the mouth, esophagus, including blood vessels and alveoli of the lung. Cuboidal epithelium, the height almost equals the width, and they look cube-shaped. The columnar epithelium, the height is more than the width of the cell, and you can further divide the columnar epithelium into ciliated and glandular columnar epithelium. So we have, according to the shape of cells, squamous, cuboidal, and columnar, and you can see the different types of epithelium in this picture. If you classify it by means of the layers, means that the cells reaching the basement membrane, you can classify them into unilayered or stratified or simple epithelium, and stratified epithelium, which is multi-layered epithelium. Multi-layered means that there are cells that don't reach the basement membrane, like you see here, for example, and here, and here. The multi-layered stratified squamous epithelium, stratified cuboidal, and stratified columnar epithelium, and the unilayered simple cuboidal columnar also. Both types can be made up of any of the cell shapes. And you usually classify the stratified epithelium according to the shape of the apical cells. See, See that here in this example is stratified squamous, this is stratified cuboidal, and there is no stratified columnar here. So according to the shape of the, you look at the shape of the apical cells and you can classify the epithelium. As mentioned before, the columnar epithelium, the simple columnar epithelium, if taken in certain sections, like this one, for example, you can see the nuclei at different levels, so it looks like as if it's stratified, but don't judge by the position of the nuclei. Look at the cells and how they reach the basement membrane. Here all the cells reach the basement membrane. In the stratified epithelium, the upper rows of cells don't reach the basement membrane, but in this example all the cells reach the basement membrane, so it's pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium. There is a special type of epithelium called transitional epithelium. Transitional means it changes shape, transitions from shape to shape. It's almost exclusively present in the lining of the urinary tract. That's why it's called urothelium, and it's when the organ, when the bladder, for example, is empty, it acquires the shape of stratified cuboidal, and if the bladder is distended, it stretches and the cuboidal cells become squamous then. So it changes from stratified cuboidal to stratified squamous and vice versa, according to the status of the lined organ. Simple epithelium, it's a single layer of cells, flat cells, direct contact with the basement membrane, and the basement membrane separates it from the underlying connective tissue. There are four types of simple epithelium: simple squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar, and pseudo-stratified. The simple squamous, as the ones that we are looking at here in this picture of the lung, alveoli of the lung, the cells appear scale-like. They are flat. They line the wall of the capillaries or the pericardia or the pleura or the peritoneal cavity, or in this case they form the alveoli of the lungs. The simple cuboidal, in this picture it shows both simple cuboidal and simple columnar. In the tubules of the kidneys, you see the simple cuboidal. They are cubic shaped cells with rounded nuclei, like this one and this one. These two are simple columnar epithelium. The simple cuboidal epithelium has secretory, absorptive, and excretory functions, and examples as shown here: the collecting ducts of the kidney, also in the pancreas and the salivary glands. You can find such epithelium, simple cuboidal. The simple columnar epithelium also secretes, absorbs, and excretes, and it can be ciliated or non-ciliated epithelium, ciliated columnar epithelium or non-ciliated. This is an example of, you can see the brush border here, ciliated columnar epithelium. Is found in the female reproductive tract and uterus. Non-ciliated epithelium can be thrown into microvilli as well to increase the surface area for absorption. Some epithelium or columnar epithelium has goblet cells, means they secrete mucus, so it's present in organs who secretes mucus to protect the lining, like the stomach, the colon, and the rectum. The pseudo-stratified columnar ciliated epithelium or the pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium can be ciliated or non-ciliated. The ciliated type is almost exclusive in the respiratory tract, means in the nasal cavity, trachea, and bronchi. It's the one you see here. You see the cilia very evident at the top. Pseudo-stratified because all the cells reach the basement membrane. These are not stratified. This is not stratified epithelium. This is pseudo-stratified columnar epithelium. The stratified epithelium or the multi-layered epithelium, it makes sense that it's multi-layered because we need it for protection from abrasions and either mechanical or chemical. And such layers can be abraded and lost without exposing the sub-epithelial layers. Cells flatten as the layers become more apical. I told you before to look at the apical cells to classify the epithelium. And the cells can be squamous, cuboidal, or columnar. Stratified epithelia can be keratinized or para-keratinized or the transitional epithelium. Keratinized means the apical layers, they are replaced, they lose their nuclei and cytoplasm, and the cells are dead, actually, the apical layers, and they contain tough resistant protein called keratin. The keratin is known to be water resistant, so it's found on the mammalian skins, and the non-keratinized type mostly found in the esophagus, and it's called moist or stratified epithelium. The para-keratinized means the apical cells retain their nuclei, and the nuclei are condensed. They are called pycnotic nuclei because they are dense nuclei. It's sometimes found in the oral mucosa and the upper regions of the esophagus. Transitional epithelium, like mentioned before, it's almost exclusively present in the urinary tract. That's why it's called urothelium, and it transitions in shape from stratified squamous to stratified cuboidal according to the status of the organ, either filled or empty. It's present in the bladder and ureters and urethra. So we have keratinized, para-keratinized, and transitional stratified epithelia. This is an example of stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium present in the esophagus. As you can see here, these cells still living and have their nuclei, and there is no keratin layer. And they don't reach the upper layers, they don't reach the basement membrane, so it's stratified epithelium, different than this one where the upper layers are dead cells and replaced by the protein keratin, and this is solely for protection, so it's logic to find it on the surface of the skin. This is a piece of skin. This is a tissue from the urinary bladder. You can see it's stratified epithelium, but the apex cells are cuboidal cells, and it was found to change shape when the organ is filled with urine. So it's this section is from urinary bladder and called urothelium or transitional epithelium. This is a picture to show you the different types of epithelium, from simple cuboidal, columnar, simple squamous, stratified columnar, stratified squamous non-keratinized, or stratified squamous keratinized, as evident by the apical layer, stratified cuboidal, pseudo-stratified columnar, where all the cells reach the basement membrane, so it's one layer of cells, and finally the transitional epithelium. I hope you have an idea now about the types of epithelium, and you got the maximum benefit from this lecture, and thank you very much for watching.